No matter how insignificant or small a criminal may be, if the law fails to hold them accountable, the criminal will take no time to terrorize nations and even entire humanity. Dawood Ibrahim is the prominent example to demonstrate this hard-learned lesson. Unfortunately, he was let away after several petty thefts and crimes. This was a combined result of incompetence, foolhardiness, ignorance, and connivance of the powerful individuals at the helm of affairs. Consequently, Dawood Ibrahim turned out to be one of the biggest threats to India. The fanatic Islamist has wrecked the life of thousands of innocent Indians. Similarly, the boogie of Khalistan was long buried after the grave sacrifices of countless patriots. However, with the resurgence of pro-Khalistan politicians, this menace is again popping its head in several regions in and around Punjab. Owing to its proximity, the threat is more serious, and hence immediate actions have and will nip this in the bud. However, if the country keeps following the past policy of forgiveness and non-interference in other territories, this Khalistani monster outside India will sooner or later come back to haunt us big time. Hi and welcome to TFI Post. I'm your host Atul Mishra. Let's begin. Let's set the record straight. Khalistan was and is a dead political issue. This was just a tool for the anti-India brigade in cahoots with Pakistan to inflict terror within the psyche of Indians living outside India and create chaos and bloodshed. The dead political horse of referendum 2020 clearly demonstrates that there is no place for this vile secessionist movement. The sham can continue till perpetuity. Even then, it won't find any traction among the patriotic Indians and will fail to manifest its evil designs. However, it can't be denied that the Khalistanis have built a dreaded terrorist organization, one whose economy thrives on killing innocent Indians inside and outside India. Unlike several other anti-India forces, terrorist or militant organizations, its economic sources are easier to decipher. This leech draws its resources, both economic and weaponry, from Pakistan and China through minions like Gurpatwant, Man, Pannu, and terror outfits like Sikhs for Justice. In 2019, Sikhs for Justice was proscribed by the Ministry of Home Affairs under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, or the UAPA. I know some of you may have raised eyebrows on why we used militant organization for some anti-India forces. To dispel every doubt, we have not camouflaged terrorists in this group. Rather, there are several armed groups in the northeast that were brainwashed to pick up arms in the delusion of a betterment of their areas. Such groups of disgruntled youths too raised extremist demands even of secession, but they quickly surrendered arms, realizing that development had reached their faraway villages. They gave up the ill-conceived notion that secession is in their interest. But Khalistani terrorist organizations are totally different and can only be compared with other dreaded organizations like Al-Qaeda and ISIS, among others. They churn money on the number of dead counts they have on their blood-soaked hands. This is why it becomes imminent to dismantle this terror industry, as even one innocent life lost is too many for India and Indians. As stated above, the Khalistan terror industry draws its funds and support from Pakistan. But everyone knows that currently Pakistan is failing to sustain its own existence. Consequently, has left this bastard child hanging on its own fate. Now Khalistan wants to continue its blood economy through extortion and vandalism. Recently, incidents of extortion, threat and vandalism at Hindu Mandir by Khalistanis have seen a rampant rise. Earlier, such incidents were witnessed at several locations in Canada and Australia. Now, on the event of Mahashivratri, Khalistani minions raised anti-India and pro-Khalistan slogans outside the Indian High Commission in London. Additionally, they were also waving sharp weapons outside the High Commission. Similarly, the Khalistanis have resorted to threatening mandir all around the world. They made extortion calls to mandirs that were marking the celebrations of Mahashivratri on 18th of February. The Khalistanis also defaced several mandirs with their vile secessionist commentary to vent their frustration. It is important to decipher the reason why they choose this day to issue widespread threats. The reason is that this clown outfit wants to attract more eyeballs so that it can gain some arms from other anti-India groups for the time being. In the wake of these recurrent incidents of vandalism of mandirs in Australia by Khalistani sycophants, Indian Foreign Minister Dr. Jaishankar raked this issue with his Australian counterpart, Penny Wong. Minister Jaishankar emphasized the need for vigilance against these radical activities targeting the Indian community in Australia. After the conclusion of the meeting with his Australian counterpart, Foreign Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar made a tweet highlighting the importance of vigilance against anti-India elements. In the tweet, he said, "Noted the forward movement on our bilateral agenda, emphasized the need for vigilance against radical activities targeting the Indian community." Notably, Minister Jaishankar's remarks came in context of the recent vandalization of 3 Hindu temples in Australia. The chronology of these 3 attacks are as follows. On 12th of January, Khalistani terrorists defaced the Swaminarayan temple in Melbourne. They drew anti-India and secessionist graffiti on the walls of the temple. On 16th of January, in a similar manner, the Khalistanis defaced and vandalized the historic Sri Shiva Vishnu temple in Carrum Downs, Victoria. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness, or ISKCON temple, popularly known as the Hare Krishna temple, is located in Melbourne's Albert Park. On 23rd of January, the management of the revered temple discovered Hindustan Murdabad graffiti on its walls. Furthermore, a prominent Hindu temple in Australia recently received threatening calls. The Khalistanis issued threats asking the Mandir management to raise pro-Khalistani slogans in case they wanted to observe Mahashivaratri peacefully. It is not that the Indian High Commission had not taken cognizance of these grave issues. Apparently, on 26th of January, the Indian High Commission in Canberra issued a strongly worded statement. The statement said, "Signals that pro-Khalistan elements are stepping up their activities in Australia, actively aided and abetted by members of proscribed terrorist organizations such as the Sikhs for Justice and other inimical agencies from outside Australia, have been evident for some time." India has repeatedly requested that the Australian government put a stop to the Khalistani separatists' anti-India actions and attacks on the nation's Hindu shrines. With such repeated acts of vandalism, threats, extortion and killing spree, the Khalistani have started to bring blot on the Indian expatriates. It is high time that India goes out of the way and brings out such villains of humanity under the stranglehold of law, so that we don't have to witness any more clown criminals becoming a threat to the nation and humanity. Through assertive diplomacy, India has demonstrated that it can strong-arm other nations to accomplish its interests. This was reflected when India bought oil from Russia. However, it becomes important to pressurize nations like Canada, Australia and the UK to stop shedding crocodile tears, shun their domestic political compulsions and start respecting India's red line. Otherwise, they will be forced to toe the Indian line through our leverage point, the growing Indian economic might. As far as Pakistan, the host of Khalistani leech, is concerned, one line by Atalji aptly covers the best advice for it. It goes like this. इसे मिटाने की साजिश करने वालों से कह दो, चिंगारी का खेल बुरा होता है. औरों के घर आग लगाने का जो सपना, वो अपने ही घर में सदा खड़ा होता है. In an attempt to injure Indian lives, progress and Indian cause, Pakistan has brought itself on the verge of balkanization. And all the Khalistani pawns thinking that they are not the puppets of Pakistani ISIS should contemplate the fact why the Khalistani stooges sitting at the helm don't wage their so-called pious movement to free the parts in the stranglehold of Pakistan. What a shame.